Hello everyone. So, so in the last session we talked about we learned about the port binding. We saw how containers are isolated and how we use the specific syntax that we talk about outside in colon inside, and we talked that the outside refers to our browser and the inside refers to the port within the container. And we are going to use a similar concept in a while. So So why we use this? We saw that how containers are isolated and how we use this specific outside inside syntax to access web apps which are running inside containers from a browser. Now let's move one step further. So there's a concept that we use in when we talk about Docker and container, which is volume. So the thing is that the containers are temporary, right? So this means that if a container is deleted, all the data is also deleted. And this becomes a problem because when you have data in the apps and their files and logs or databases, so while removing that container also removes your all the data that was stored within the container, right? So this is a problem. And let's say we are going to see how one example in which we'll see how we do not use the concept of volume mount, which do not, and in which the data is lost, and then we'll see how we can use the concept of volume mount in which the data remains even if we stop and remove the container, right? So for this, I've created one more folder. You can just create another folder and have these four basic commands within that file, and make sure that you access the file from within, right click, open in integrated terminal, right? This will ensure that you are in the particular directory, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to access, build a container that's in docker run it ubuntu. So it refers to the interactive terminal. This means that we'll be able to communicate with the container from within this VS Code terminal. So this makes it very easy to access the file, write commands, and have all sorts of communication with the container. So our container creation is successful. So you can see this is our particular container ID. You can copy it. We'll use it in a while. So now what we're going to do is we are going to write. Now we are one more important thing is we are inside the container now. So whatever we write will be within the container. And you can also see over here, this was before it was a PowerShell. Now it has changed to Docker. This is another sign to see that we are inside a particular container. Now what we'll see, we can write anything. Hello from Docker. This is using volume concept, right? Or anything you want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to space slash temp slash file dot txt. So this file txt is a name of our file. This temp is a location, and right. So that's all about it. So we'll hit enter, and that's done. So echo command in within this container is when we communicate with a container is used to write a particular data or whatever you want within a specific file and within the container, right? Now, in order to see whether in order to access this specific file, what we can do is we can write cat slash temp, and then because we are accessing the same file from a specific location, so we need to write this. So you see, so what the cat does, it reads the data within the file and then displays the data over here, right? So far so good. And one more thing I want to show you is if you want to see, so you see, okay, before, so I was trying to do over here is this ls is used to see the total files within the specific directory. So if I just type ls, so it will tell you all these folders and etc available in this file. And this is over here is our particular folder in which we created this text file, right? So, and if I want to go further, I can access all the files. Now it tells that within this folder we have this particular file which is file.txt, right? So far so good. Now, so what we'll do is for now, we'll exit the container. Make sure that you copy this container name because we have to stop and remove the container. So we copy the name and we'll exit from the container terminal. Right, we are done. So what we'll do is we'll stop the container now. Docker stop container ID that we copied, enter. So successfully stop, and then we'll also remove the container. Docker remove container ID. So now you see we created this particular file. We wrote very basic text within this file. We accessed that file again, and we stopped the container and we removed the container, right? And now, so now the thing is, since we have stopped the container and we have removed the container, so the container no longer exists, right? So now, if I want to write Docker run that particular container, so you see, so there is no more container available, so it can't run that container. See, the Docker is unable to find this particular container. So it means that whatever data we wrote within that file.txt is lost because the container stopped and removed, and this is a problem. Now, how do we resolve this particular problem um, while using Docker and dealing with containers, right? And the concept that we use to deal with this is called volume mounting. Now, and the very fact that after we don't use the concept, we lost that container, we lose our data. This makes it very important, right? So what is volume mounted? Mounting, volume mounting connects a folder on our computer, our local machines, to a folder inside the container. So what it does is it locally creates a folder within our local machines. So in this way, even if we lose or remove the container, or the container is deleted, stopped, or whatever, we'll still be able to access that data or apps or dashboard or whatever that is. Right, so now what we'll do is we'll run, and so we verified that after removing we can no longer access the data, because in order to access the data we have to go into that particular container, but the container was removed. And now let's start and see this particular approach, which is volume mounting. So what we'll you do is Docker run it. It is the same as before, that is we will be able to communicate with the Docker within a container from within this interactive terminal, right? And then this particular word, my hyphen, I forgot what it's called, hyphen or minus. I'll call it minus. The minus V. V is for volume, stands for volume bound. That is, we want to save this script. Now, since we want to connect this particular container and the data within the container to our local machines, we have to give the location. So what I'll do is let's call it C, and then I'll just name it Docker data. And so yes, so this thing was our host, um, like the location on our local PC, and after this colon we'll give the location within the container, right? Temp, and then Ubuntu as before, right? So now again, this has been created successfully. Another container has been created. Now we'll do the same thing that we did before, which was writing the data into our a file that we'll create. Right. So what we'll say is, again, we'll write hello from Docker, and then this, and then one additional thing that we need to do over here is we have to give the container, right? Because we have to add an additional. So what we'll do is temp file.txt, and then we have to access and display the data written within this specific txt file, which is hello from Docker. In order to use that, we'll use temp dot file.txt. So you see, we can see that after this particular, it returns this hello from Docker, which is the data that we have. This is the data that we wrote into this particular file, and this is the location within the container, right? So far so good. So if we want to know, again, we'll do ls to see how many that within this container. These are the folders, and this is a relevant folder we want to see. Okay, what is the file within this particular folder? So this is, we'll have to ls slash temp, because we are giving the location, and this is the file. And if we want to go and see what is the data in this particular file, we'll have to write file.txt, right? So this is, oh, yeah, right. No, I think it's not correct, but ignore it for this one. So now the next step we have to see, what we'll do is we'll stop this container. First of all, we'll exit this container, right? And we'll try to stop and remove this container, and then we'll see whether the data still exists or not. So what we have done over here, the extra step we have done over here, we have given the extra query to this, because we want to store data to this location. So we'll have to go to C drive within the Docker data, and we'll see over there. Cool. So what we'll do, I exit the from the terminal. Now what you'll do is I'll Docker stop the container, Docker stop, and this is our container ID over here. You can just copy from here. So I'll just do, since container stopped, and now I'll remove the container from our running container. So what I'll do is Docker run and complete container ID. Oh, sorry, my bad. It should be Docker remove. We're trying to remove the Docker, and it returns the same ID. It means the Docker, the container has been stopped and is permanently removed. And one way to verify the container has been removed is, you can do is Docker run container ID. You see, it says when we give the same container ID, it says unable to find image. It does not exist. So far so good. Now, if everything is lost, the container stopped and remove, what do? We'll go to the, what we'll do is we'll go to this C drive, whatever the address location that you gave, and this is this is the location and the folder that we created. If you remember, yeah, this is the one. So you see C drive Docker data, and you go over here, and the text that we wrote within that the file was hello from Docker. So good. So this is all about this particular concept, that if you don't use this concept volume mount, then after the container stopped and the removed, you will lose all of the data. That is why it's so important, right? Yes, one. So the key takeaways from this tutorial is that volume mount allow containers to save data permanently, and you can share files with the system. You can persist database or app data, and this is how real applications store important information, right? So what you can keep in mind is container storage is temporary, volume mount is permanently storing the data. So in this video, we learned that a container lose all the data when they're removed. To solve this, we use volume mounts using outside-inside mapping. This allows containers to store data on our computer, making it persistent even if the container is deleted. That's all for this video. Thank you.